Welcome, everyone, to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. I hope that everybody that's in here had a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year. And I hope that 2023 is a whole lot better than 2022. So that's what I want to tell you today. Just try to make 2023 a great year and do all those things that you really want to do. So my guest tonight is Rob Boothe. He is a member of the Paranormal or Panhandle Paranormal of Pensacola. And this is me being very selfish and wanting to learn about Pensacola area because that is where we're looking at making our new home in the future. So welcome, Rob Boothe, to the Paranormal Pride.
Hi, welcome. Thank you all, and greetings from sunny Pensacola. 78 down here today, but I'm not going to rub that in.
No, because tomorrow is going to be crappy.
Oh, it's going to rain for the next 2 days, and then it'll get cold again. Yeah. Our vicious cycle.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and hopefully they're not redundant in any way. So how did you get involved with the paranormal?
I'd say I've been involved in it a lot of my life. I was told at a young age that I have gifts, and it was an aunt. And we went to her initially because she can remove warts. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but
warts as in on your hands?
On your skin, yes. And people from all over town would seek her out. And what they would do is she would sit you down and she would tell you to go get a stick, a little stick, and you'd go find a stick and you'd bring it back to her. And she would mumble something, and then she would touch each wart with the stick. Then she'd take out a little knife, a little paring knife, and she would cut a notch in that stick for each wart you had. Then she would rub it all on your warts, and she would mumble some stuff, and she would say, "Do you believe I can do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a kid, why not?" She says, "Now go bury the stick out in the yard. Don't break it, just take it out and bury it." And she says, "When you quit thinking about those warts, they're gone." And within 2 weeks, I had no warts.
That is an unusual. Let's see. Down here in the Ozarks, we have magical and mystical stuff like that as well, in the Appalachians too. So, and where was she from?
A little town called Buell, Alabama. Well, actually, she was from Holt, Alabama, which is it's a suburb of Tuscaloosa, and it's right at where the Appalachian Mountains end.
Or start, depending upon which way you're going.
Yeah, which way you want to go. But she lived in a place called Tin Town.
Oh, okay. I never heard of that.
It was lower income area, and dirt roads all through there, and all the houses were little shotgun houses, and they all had tin roofs. And she'd lived there since she got married, and she was in her probably late 70s or in her 70s. And so a couple weeks later, we go back and visit her with my grandmother. It was my grandmother's sisters who it was. And she tried to get her to teach me to do that. She said, "No." She said, "I can only teach one person that." Mm-hmm. And I taught somebody that a few months ago. And I didn't find out till tonight that she taught my aunt.
Oh.
And that people used to come to my aunt for this. And I talked to my first cousin, and I said, "Well, did she teach anybody?" She says, "As far as I know, she didn't. It just died with her."
Oh, no. You may want to find somebody who can do that.
I know it'd be interesting. And then on the other side of the family, we had an aunt named Viola, And Viola used to tell fortunes down around Greensboro, Alabama, and everybody would come to see her. And she looked like a freaking fortune teller. I mean, like the stereotype fortune teller.
Oh yeah.
And everybody would come to see her. So it runs in the family.
Okay. So before we go any further, I want to say hello to Autumn, Susan, Brandon, and Glenda. Thank you for listening to the show. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will make sure that I ask them. And because it always gives us, you guys will think of better questions than I will, more than likely. So go ahead and ask those questions and we'll get those answered. So when you got involved in the paranormal, were you involved in the paranormal actively as a child or as an adult?
As a child, I was always sensitive. I was really sensitive to people's feelings and all, and I realize now that I was an empath all along. I could feel spirits. I couldn't see them yet, but I could feel them. Mm-hmm. I could feel them around me. I could feel the coldness in a room and different things like that.
And did you do anything with that? I mean,
I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And until I went to England and learned more about ghosts and the paranormal, because over there, in fact, I was sitting drinking coffee in a pub. I was drinking a beer one night in a pub with my best friend. He was the landlord of the pub. Pub's just down the street from the house. And we were talking about ghosts. And Mike goes, "We got one." I said, "Really?" His pub was built in the early 1600s. It's a thatch roof pub. He goes, "Yeah, she sits over in that table in the mornings." And he says, "You come by here for a cup of coffee one morning, all you got to do is I'll show her to you." So I did. And we sat there and had a cup of coffee. And he goes, "Now look back over your shoulder, just quiet." Sitting in the corner is a lady with a bonnet on and had a cup of tea. He says she's probably sat there for 400 years. Mm-hmm. But you got to look at the history over there. My mother-in-law's house was built in the late 1600s. The fireback we brought back from England out of the fireplace was 1683. Mm-hmm. The furniture we bought back was all 1700s. Sarah's got an aunt, my wife Sarah, she's got an aunt and uncle had a house that was in the Doomsday Book, and that was written in the 900s.
Oh, wow.
That was a trip. It had a well under stairs. So
indoor plumbing?
Well, quasi. They had a built-on privy on one end of the house, but you go see them, the walls are 5 foot thick, the windows stuck 4 inches open. So you're sitting on the toilet in the wintertime and it's snowing on you. These people were tough.
Been in paranormal locations like that.
Yeah, these people are tough over there.
So
you don't sit in there and read a book.
No, you get your business done. That's one. Maybe they should do that in a lot of workplaces.
Yeah, make it snow in the stalls.
Yeah, get people out, in and out. Mm-hmm. So, and how long did you live in England?
Let's see, on and off, we were there about 12 years. And we stayed till they finally just threw us out.
Oh, okay. So they just said, turn off the lights, we're done?
Well, that was actually the way it was when they closed the base. We got down, we were number 4 on the base.
Oh, okay.
And they couldn't decide what to do with me. And I said, well, you better be quick because I've got a notice I got to be out of base housing in a week. So you better find me someplace to live or what. And they gave me an assignment real quick just to get me the hell out of there.
So you were in the Air Force.
Yes.
You did your whole stint and retired from the Air Force, right?
Yep. 21 years.
Congrats. Well, thank you for your service. I know how living on a base can be. actually, I know living off base, I never lived on base, but I lived near the end of the flight line of one of them. And like I was telling you on the phone earlier today, I could not, for the first few months, I couldn't sleep without the planes. I didn't know what to do without hearing that low rumble of a B-52 all the time. So
that's what gets me. People here fuss about the Blue Angels because they're the loudest thing here. And they buy a house at the end of the runway, and the first thing they do is try to call the base and tell them, oh, these planes are too loud. And it's like, dummy, you bought the house.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, my grandkids, they love living near where the helicopters practice. Because, I mean, it's only from 7 till 4, Monday through Friday. But my grandson loves running out there to see it. And Lindsay says as soon as he hears one, he wants to go out there and see it. So I think it's good. And you know what? They had Santa Claus fly in on a helicopter to their school over there in Pace. And of course, you figure half the people who live in the neighborhood are military.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's the right place to be if you want to, well, kind of feel safe and some other things, but they just love watching the helicopters do their stuff. The first time I went to Pensacola, not the first time, I guess technically it was like the third time back that I went. We had stayed in Dauphin Island, and we had to take my daughter to the airport. And as I'm driving down there, I see all the things about the Blue Angels everywhere. I'd never been to that airport before. I didn't know that this was everywhere. I just knew it was on 10, on 10, but I'd never been down this road before. So I just think that it's neat seeing the tribute to the military there.
Well, the neatest thing is what we do is take the boat and go over to Fort McRae, which is a little peninsula right off the back of the base, and that's where the runway's at. And the Blue Angels practice 3 days a week, and you stand on that beach and watch the entire air show every day.
Oh, well, then I will make sure that I find time to do that too. So, because they are some of the most brave pilots.
It never gets old.
It can't. I mean, they're defying gravity almost every day.
I watched it from the top of a lighthouse for years, and it never got old.
So, and that lighthouse is that Pensacola lighthouse that was recently on Ghost Hunters?
Yeah.
I told Ron what you said is that during Ghost Hunters, your name kept coming up in the ghost box. And he said, I seem to recall hearing that on the show. He said he kept hearing, you said they kept saying Rob.
Yep.
And he said, I remember that because I was telling him this was a couple days ago. And he goes, I remember that. So you are the Rob that they were talking about. Were you on the episode at all?
Oh, yeah. I was the lighthouse keeper with the beard that climbed the tower, and then I got stabbed at the end of the show and all of this stuff. But it was all bullshit.
Oh, okay.
The entire episode was made up. In fact, the Ghost Brothers weren't even there by that time. By the time they did all the back shooting and talking to the producer, they really didn't get anything. It's just a fake show. And then Ghost Hunters just came down and filmed their second episode here. They made up the entire story. The whole storyline was a lie. They talked about a black lighthouse keeper who lived in a house over by the hanging tree. Yeah. That house was a channel marker keeper's house, and how they found his house. I found that mowing the grass or clearing a lot for the Boy Scouts to camp with the tractor. There wasn't any why would a black lighthouse keeper live over there instead of the big old house? The whole story was just made up, and I shame John Hill and him at the lighthouse for allowing that to happen, and
Actually,
for ghost hunters to stoop that low.
What's bad is once you sign that piece of paper, they don't care. They can make any story they want up, and it's sad. And they can change, and they can change exactly what you said into something totally different, and it's your voice, and you're going, I didn't say that, because that's how I turned out. I didn't say some of the stuff that Ghost Adventures said I said.
My biggest pet peeve is people who will argue with me about ghost hunter shows. We had some team members that left us because they binge watch all the TV shows. And they wanted our team to be run just like that. They wanted us to bring in a man to do our equipment. There's 8 of us. Our equipment belongs to us. Why do I need to bring some kid in to carry my equipment around that doesn't know my equipment?
Yeah, you don't.
It doesn't make sense. And people watch those shows and they get all these ideas. And then I've doing tours and investigations. I run into people all the time. We got a paranormal team. Oh yeah, what's it called? And they tell you their name. And I met a whole lot of them that had T-shirts. And you say, what kind of equipment do y'all use? I got my phone recorder. And I got an app that I downloaded off of the Play Store. And we go to cemeteries. I said, well, I'm glad you're playing Ghost Hunter. Are you having fun? Yeah, well, more power to you. But I recommend you go and learn about the paranormal and learn about what a paranormal investigator does and buy the equipment that's required to do a proper investigation, before you call yourself paranormal investigators, because right now you're just ghost hunters.
Oh, well, maybe they can call Troy Taylor and get their certification.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, he certifies ghost hunters?
Sure. Don't we all?
Yeah. So
that's cute.
That's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can tell, I take it. So you and I are in the same boat here.
Certified him and certified you.
We've got, we've both been in episodes. We've seen stuff that makes your skin crawl as far as what they pass off. The truth in the history, to me, is much more important than the story that you make up to get people to come to your location. So
yes,
I want to go to your lighthouse because I want to hear the facts. I want to hear what are the things that are making this location haunted, because that legend and that rumor is high school stuff. Nothing that facts are based on. I want facts. I want history. Tell me why I need to go to that lighthouse.
Yeah.
The truth.
It's interesting. There are 8 spirits there. I don't want to say too much more about it because it was not a very amicable leaving when we left.
Well, then you know what? I'll talk to you about it some other time.
Yes.
Not on air. But one of the things Susan says, she says, how much trouble are you going to get into, Rob, by saying that they made it all up?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Free speech is First Amendment.
And you're on the Bill of Rights Network, so you're allowed your free speech. But one of the things that you just said is kind of like us. We were not. So were you fired from being a volunteer?
It was kind of a mutual thing.
That's how ours was. It was a mutual.
It was kind of a mutual thing. We had a major disagreement, and I threw some paperwork at them, and they didn't like it.
No, ours wasn't a mutual.
And I was a volunteer, so what the hell? I'd been out there for 12 years. I had made $45,000 for the lighthouse doing tours. I was burned out. they had some management problems, and I don't want to get into that, but
believe me, I understand. We've been there, done that. And yes, Susan,
Really bad.
Non-disclosures are signed before the show airs. After the show airs, you're
yeah.
allowed to say whatever you want.
Besides that, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers, when they did me, they stiffed me. They didn't even pay me for the show.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody got paid for doing that stuff.
They're supposed to pay you $100 a day.
Oh, okay.
I get any money for the show at all.
How long ago was that?
About 3 or 4 years ago.
Tina, Truth or Legends in your hometown? Good friends with, suddenly I went blank. That's bad. I know Paula and, what is Paula's husband's name? All of a sudden,
I don't remember his name.
I know his name.
Kevin.
No.
Paula from what?
Paula that was sick, that had the food poisoning.
I thought it was Kevin.
I went totally blank, and he's gonna get on to me for that.
That's your.
It's her husband.
Talk to him all the time.
Yeah, I did talk to him. Gavin Kelly.
Gavin, that's it.
Yeah, Gavin and Paula. I've been friends with them. I wrote their Wikipedia for them years ago. So I'm so sorry, Gavin. I'm so sorry.
I was hoping their show would really take off.
Well, I thought it would.
Well,
and
the legitimate ones don't seem.
Yeah, the legitimate ones seem to kind of fizzle out because there's not a lot of there's not enough sparkle and glitz, even though it's not really sparkle and glitz. There's not enough demons.
We were involved in some of that.
So, well, Tina, I'd like to thank you for being on the show or being in the chat, and same with you, Barbara and cousin April. Welcome to the show, and welcome Sonia. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, please ask, and we'll get them asked and answered. One of the places that you were telling me about was Fort Blakely. There, can you tell me a little bit about that place?
Fort Blakely is hands down the most haunted place I have ever experienced. At the end of the Civil War, there were 3,500 troops based there. The Yankees came down with like 9,000 troops and circled Fort Blakely. And they attacked Fort Blakely from all sides. The battle actually only lasted about 45 minutes. And something like 3,500 people died. So when you go to Fort Blakely and you whip out a meter, they just line up to talk to you. There's if you happen to catch it at the right time, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if it's still enough, you hear a residual haunting of a little drummer boy play every day.
Oh, wow.
I sent you some pictures from Fort Blakely.
Yeah. Let me see.
Pictures of a ghost horses.
Let me see if I can find that. Let me pull this up.
My buddy John shot that one night. We were out doing some things we probably shouldn't have been doing.
We're always doing stuff we're not supposed to be doing.
That's the way to do it. Wait till everybody's asleep and go.
Here it is. So here's the first picture that you sent.
Yeah, that was on the southern lines, their main battle area. And the spirit level in that area is so wild, and we caught that picture there.
So the question I have, is this a state park or a...
Yes, it's a state park.
National park. So they allow you to have equipment in there, because I know in the next you can't have none.
No, they don't care. We know the
okay.
manager and our general ranger, whatever he's called.
Okay, and then What are we looking at here?
It looks like something's trying to realize in front of that golf cart, but we didn't, yeah, it's got some bugs in the pictures, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
I left that up and said, well, is that really bugs, or is it something trying to, that's one of those ones you throw up and say, you think.
Okay.
Now that is two horses.
I see
You
here.
can see the head. You can see the mane on the horse on the left. Looks
over.
like an orb above his head.
Horse picture from the graveyard.
Now that's a hanging tree where they used to hang deserters from.
This here?
Yes.
Okay.
That was taken underneath that tree. We have never failed to just light up all the meters when we go there.
It's a very interesting picture. So, and when we're done with the show later on, I'll have Carl show you their horse picture that from up at the graveyard. And then we have, let's see, we have this one. This is the one that's from
the Stanley Hotel.
Stanley Hotel.
We were there with me and my wife and my daughter and son-in-law. We were in the music building, and we were the only ones in the building. We're sitting in the family box, it's in the back above everything. And my wife's got really acute hearing, and she said, I hear piano music. So we go downstairs and we go down into the basement, and we search the basement, and there's nothing but storage in there except this room with pianos. And it was where the men would go and smoke a cigar and have a drink, and the ladies weren't allowed in there, and people would play the piano for them. So I'm sitting on a piano bench in front of that piano you see. If you look right up on the left, you can see my head in the picture in that mirror. I told my daughter, I said,
this one or this one?
No, the one on the left. Bald-headed picture.
Okay.
And I told my daughter, I said, while we're here, you need to be sure and take pictures into all the mirrors. And she did. And when you blow that up, it looks like someone in a sea captain's type uniform. And he's sitting on that piano stool beside me.
And where's the sea captain come from?
I have no idea. This was a hotel. The Stanley Hotel, where The Shining was written.
Like I said, yeah. I mean, I don't know enough of the history. Yeah, I don't know enough of the history of it. I've been to Denver a lot, but
yeah,
never been up.
He could have been a train conductor, as far as I know, but it looked more like a naval type uniform to me when I blew it up real large and examined it.
Yeah. So
that whole place is wild.
Thank you for sharing those. You're not even allowed to, they can't even do ghost tours there unless they do them themselves now at Stanley Hotel.
I know.
There's no investigations allowed, all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of different than
they're in it for the money. It's the same way at what's that place called? St. Francisville, the Myrtle's Plantation now.
Yeah.
They had so much publicity. We investigated there, and that was
about that.
It was wild. The Myrtles was wild.
You been there?
Yeah, we were there, and it was very, very interesting.
What did you have interesting that happened there?
We caught a few pictures that were very interesting. I didn't share them with you at the time. And then we stood, it was kind of sneaky. We stood outside. You couldn't go into the bedrooms or anything into that area unless you were a guest and had a key to the rooms. So we put team t-shirts on, stood out there with an SLS camera till somebody recognized what we were standing there holding. And they said, oh, yeah, hell, come on. So they're in there knocking on doors, getting us into every room. And one of the rooms we walked into, young couple spun around with the camera, and there's a ghost sitting on the bed, knee up, hand behind his head like this. And I said, walk around here real quietly and look at this camera. So they walked around the bed and they looked at the camera, and he screamed like a little girl. And the ghost goes away, and she goes, well, at least it's on your side.
Yeah, all I've done is some research about the place.
And then we stayed in a keeper's cottage. The whole team did. It's a little 2-bedroom cottage, and I'm sleeping on the sofa, and I wake up in the middle of the night and the light's on. I sit up, bolt upright, and one of the young ladies is in a chair covered up with a blanket next to the lamp. And I said, what are you doing up? She goes, it won't leave the covers on the bed. Something's pulling the covers off the bed. I said, well, crap. So she turns the light off. We go back to sleep. Just get good and sleep, and the light comes back on. And I looked over there, and I said, why'd you turn the light on? And she holds up the cord.
So did she ever get back to bed?
Oh, yeah. I went over and unscrewed the light bulb and put it in the refrigerator.
Okay. Why did you do that?
I said, well, if you can go get it out of the refrigerator and put it back and then plug the lamp in, then you can turn the damn thing back on because we need to go to sleep.
Well, that's one way to stop it.
Yes.
Brandon and Barbara, I've never seen The Shining either. And I do read some Stephen King novels, but I never read that one either. So.
The trick is with The Shining, don't watch the Jack Nicholson version. It's just crap. There is, if you can still find it, there's a documentary called The Shining. They let Stephen King go back in and film actually there and film that documentary. And that is just freaking
okay. Well,
spooky, no matter, if we're not people to get spooked, but that was made a few chills.
So I'll have to check that out. And hey, Candy and Evelyn, glad you guys are here. So, so another thing that you had talked about was Fort Morgan.
Oh, yes. Fort Morgan is very, very active.
We've been there.
Yeah,
and they're pretty good about Fort Morgan will rent us the entire fort from 5 o'clock till midnight.
Really? And how much do they charge?
$200 to rent the fort.
Wow.
That's not too bad.
Night. Nope.
Have you ever checked out Fort Gaines across the way?
Yeah, I've been over there, but they're pretty funny. You pull out a meter over there and they act stupid. You can't put that out here.
They talked to me until my ears almost fell off about paranormal stuff.
We didn't.
We didn't have any meters with us though, because we didn't have enough room in the car.
I have an in with that situation now. Okay. So hopefully, if they ever sort me out, where I can do a little more traveling, we're going to do some more investigations this year. There's all kinds of things that need to be investigated around. There's a place off of Fort Morgan just north of there called Pilot Town.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if you've ever read about it, but it was a town built on stilts. And out over the water, what they did is they would watch for boats to come into the edge of the Mobile Bay, and the pilots would row out because they knew the channel, because Mobile Bay is really shallow.
Yeah.
and they would offer their services to guide the big boats up. And they had a hurricane come in and wipe out the entire town. And we've been over there metal detecting and picking up bits of artifacts. A friend of mine, last time we went, got a little gold brooch and different things. And I wouldn't mind going over there and with a meter and poking around a little bit.
Is metal detecting a big thing down there?
It is for me. I got a friend that does. Now, what we were talking about Fort Blakely earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend that has a place north of there called the Wilkins Plantation. And that's actually where the Yankee soldiers camped. And it was all cut clear and forested and cut again. And now it's being sold for home plots.
Mm.
But we had a chance to go in there and do a lot of metal detecting. And I have boxes of bits and pieces of cannons and bits of all kinds of stuff that came out of there. And a friend of mine, not that long ago, they found an entire mortar weighed about 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Not far behind his house.
Mm. So what did they do with it when they found it?
They just cleaned it up, made sure it's safe.
Yeah. There's some here in Kansas City at a place called the John Warnell House. They had a battle of the Civil War down at Brookside, which is now like not too far from downtown. Okay. And there is a whole bunch of cannonballs and mortars inside the house up against the fireplace that they had found when they were clearing the property. So people who find this stuff in their yards will bring it to the John Warnell House and go, this was from back then. We don't want it. Here it is. So we had another, and so that's from not too far from the Battle of Westport. So
the last time we had a real big storm here, they found all kinds of cannonballs laying on the beach. They got unearthed, and they were live. They had to shut down that whole end of the national park.
Was that during Hurricane Sally?
Yeah.
Yeah. The damage from that was horrible.
It was.
We went. That's why we came down, because we were looking for, we were looking to see where we wanted to live, and that's how I picked Daphne, was because it didn't have a lot of the damage that was everywhere else, and the other thing is I want to experience Jubilee.
Yeah.
And I know you have to be a resident of Fairhope or Daphne to even be able to do that, but you can at least witness it. You can't participate.
That's all right. I got friends that have property over there.
I just think it's interesting, growing up on the bay, I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay. We never had that happen. I mean, low tide was low tide. That was all it was. I don't ever remember anything that they called an extreme low tide where I just saw fish and shrimp and crabs.
That whole bay is so shallow, and that's what happens. And I remember when we were kids, we used to go over there and do that.
Just fill up your truck with whatever you found. And I've heard stories. So how we found, Jubilee Farms, this was funny. We were in Fairhope, and we went down a street, and I just told my husband, I was looking on my maps, and Hurricane, what is it? Zeta, I think it was coming in. Okay, we just got into town, and I get this hurricane watch on my phone. I don't think anything of it because it's like, whatever. But I find this road, and I say, just go down this road. I said, it's going to take us straight to the beach. It took us to the Fairhope Country Club. And that's our thunderstorm, if you heard that. And we get there, and this guy gets off a boat on the dock there as we're looking around. And I asked him, I said, where would you live if you just moved here? Where would you tell somebody to live? And he said, in Daphne. He
Yeah.
he worked there in Fairhope, and he said there, and the subdivision he was in was across the street from the subdivision that we had on our list.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling us about Jubilee Farms, told us about Jubilee, and a few other people told us about it. And it was like, I liked the people that we met in Daphne and Fairhope. They were some of the most friendly people you ever want to meet. And we met this lady that was working at Rita's snowball ice cream place.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived over in Mobile for years, and she had just moved to Daphne. And she said, I would live nowhere but here. She goes, I liked living in Mobile. She goes, but I love it over here.
I tell you,
it's different people.
Well, Daphne's sort of built out, but just north of there is Spanish Fort.
Yeah.
And you zigzag and keep going north out of Spanish Fort. Fort Blakely's only 4 miles up there, and that's beautiful. They got some nice subdivisions up that way.
Well, you know how I picked Daphne, to be honest? The biggest thing was where wasn't there hardly any damage, and where wouldn't I have to evacuate from?
Yeah.
You more than likely, being 150 feet above sea level, wouldn't have to evacuate during a storm. And so that was my thing. And I was the disaster contact for Sprint for years. So like when you guys had Sprint PCS and all that stuff down there, I was the person that they were calling to get everything back up back in the day. So I know stuff about tornadoes and hurricanes and ice storms and all this. And it's like, I'm making this decision based on what I know. But, I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay, and Mobile Bay is very similar to the Chesapeake Bay in the way that it is. And so I fell in love with the area down there. When we were driving across from, I was telling you that we'd stayed over in Gulf Shores, and we were driving over to Pace. We got to see a lot of downtown Pensacola. Old downtown, not the new downtown area, or what looks like a newer downtown to me. And I just thought it was a very walkable downtown.
Oh, yeah.
It also looked like it's a very happy area. People like to party down there.
Well, see, it all did a big circle. Back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, they stuccoed over all the old buildings. They took all the balconies down. They put this Art Deco stuff up. And that's the way it was. Sears, Penny's, all the big department stores, everything was downtown. And they had some bad neighborhoods downtown, and the theft and crime in the city was just unreal. So developer went up on Davis Highway and bought 400 acres or more of pecan orchard and plowed it all under and built a mall.
Oh.
And so there goes all your big stores to the mall. So the downtown, it became empty. And then they decided, let's do something about this. So they got rid of those neighborhoods. And they peeled off that facade and redeveloped it like it would have looked back when. And then here comes your totally different, the little mom and pop shops, your restaurants, your bistros, your bars. And Pensacola's downtown's a happening place now.
Yeah, it was, like I said, we were driving through and I can see people getting hit by cars.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just walk out in front of you. I don't have to, that car for me. It's like, didn't look like it.
Oh, yeah. On Cervantes Street, they just put $4 or $5 million into fences and chicanes and all of this. And what do? They still put their black hoodies on in the middle of the night and get cracked up and run across the road and get run over.
I shouldn't be laughing, but it is the way that it goes. So, hi, Crystal and Derek, and downtown in that area. Do they have walking ghost tours down there?
There's one company does it, but it's not really a ghost tour. It's more like going. Oh, I heard there was a ghost in this house, and this and that, and it's not even close to accurate. There is so much paranormal downtown. One of the photographers, or a pair of the photographers that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
in my alter ego attire,
Okay.
they have a little shotgun building built in 1908 or something, right near downtown, and it's got balconies across upstairs. It was a shop, built as a shop.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting there waiting on the next customer to come in and smile. And I looked at her and I said, Julie, I said, you got a ghost upstairs. And she says, do what? And I said, yeah. I said, there's a boy up there. I'd say he's a teenager, and he's comes out and he peeks over that balcony down at me, and he pulls back. And I said, you got one over on the stairs, splayed out. I said, laying like a teenager does, back on his arms, sitting on the stairs, feet out. She goes, how do you know? I said, because I can see him. And she goes, you're shitting me. And I said, no, Julie, I can see him. And she goes, there's no ghost in here. I said, yeah, it is. I said, hell, why wouldn't there be? This is a cool place to hang out. So I sweet talked her into letting me bring the team in one night. So we did this EVP session, and we probably do it a little bit different. We do it sometimes, instead of just the spirit box and listening to the what did it say, or it could be this or it could be that. A lot of times we'll take a good digital recorder with a parabolic microphone and plug a set of headphones into it, and then put somebody in the far end of the room where they can't hear the questions you're asking, and you ask the questions, and we do it that way. Mm-hmm. And we got a hold of a young lady, said she was 15 years old, and she was there with 6 people. They were her family, and they came from Ireland, and they lived there. And we got to talking to them and said, is there anybody else in here not family? And she says, Willie. So they talked to her a little more, and why is Willie here? And she goes, hit by car. And then she comes back and says, stupid. And we just died laughing.
You want to hear something funny? Ron, what did I tell you?
What?
About Pensacola.
All right.
Tell him. Because only you know what I said.
When?
About what I was seeing downtown. He doesn't remember. So we drove through there, and I had told Ron, I said a lot of this area is haunted. And and he said, okay. And I said, I saw some spirits down there that looked like they had been hit by cars.
Yeah.
And then when you said that, it just made me laugh, because the fact that I saw more than one that had to been hit by cars, and they weren't all of the same period of time.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of weird,
Now,
you said that, and that's what I had told him.
Now, the most haunted place in Pensacola is the Grand Hotel.
Where is the Grand Hotel?
It's in the middle of Pensacola. It's attached to the old train station. The train station is the lobby for the Grand Hotel.
Okay.
It's closed. They're trying to sell the Grand Hotel. Been trying for years. But we were asked to go in there and see if they had a spirit, because they caught something on closed circuit TV. And what they caught was a box was coming out of the store rack in the kitchen, a good sized box, and somebody was coming along with a cart a girl pushing a cart of dishes or something, and the box stopped. Then she presses on, and then the box comes out and lowered to the ground nice and slow. And they were freaked. So I went in there with one of my other investigators, and we walked through that building, and we stopped counting at 23. And then we go in the bar, and we sit down with the management, and we're discussing with them, because they, at the time, they were wanting to be able to do haunted weekends and all of this. And we were like, oh, hell yes, we'll do this.
Oh, yeah.
And the meter lit up at the table. So I said, would you like to join us? And the chair moved a little bit. And they freaked. And I said, just stop quietly and just sit here. I said, do you have a drink? And it said, yes. And then we got the microphone out and all, and come to find out he was a Confederate soldier that came in on train.
So did the tours ever happen?
No. Along come another hurricane, damaged the hotel, flooded it after they'd done all his renovation, and it was a sole proprietor. This lady was in her 90s that owned it, and now it's all tied up in probate and rotting. It's a shame.
Hello, Amanda. Welcome to the chat. Guys, we're almost an hour into this. If you guys have any questions, please ask them so that we can get your answers. Because, like I said before, if you weren't here, sometimes your questions are better than mine. So,
well, let me get a shout out to some of these girls. Autumn is on my team. She's been on my team for, God, must be 12 years, something like that, along with Amanda Nobles. Sabrina Hill is my right-hand person, and she's our medium. Sabrina is just overall an amazing woman. And Jennifer Burkett, are you? I don't know if she's on tonight. She's just wonderful.
Not
I have
yet, anyway.
Outstanding team. We're kind of picky because every day I get messages from people, I want to join your team. I want to join your team. And one thing we've always done in the last 4 years, I guess, or 3 years, is I teach a little class called Introduction to Paranormal Investigation. And on this class, it teaches them just the basics of what they would get into. And it gives them references to go look for. And so they have to complete the course to even talk to me. And then what I do then is I keep all the names and all of that. And when I feel, you get a feel for people after spending a few hours with them. And if I feel that they're the right fit and we have an opening, then I'll call them up and ask them to come up and see if, on a trial basis, and see if they fit in with the group.
It's always important to not only interview them, but see them in the real life environment.
Yeah, see them in an
environment. Either way. Sometimes you just need to shake it up a little bit too, and just somebody else to make people feel. Not make people feel. Sometimes you need to shake it up a little bit so that the team members know that
don't get stale.
Yeah, they don't get stale. And Ron and I just tell people all the time, I feel like we are independent paranormal investigators, and that leaves us open to do whatever it is we want to do. We can be guest investigators for whoever.
A lot of other groups.
We've investigated probably with 30 or 40 other groups. Yeah. And because of the way that we do stuff, we fit in with everybody. Um,
Yeah, we work with a
and
lot of
Ron
different teams
is
over the
is
years.
a chick magnet. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ron's a chick magnet. So you guys would get along great.
Yeah.
Ron's a chick magnet. So you guys would get along great. All the
These
women love
girls
him.
on my team, though, they you have to not be quite normal to be a paranormal investigator, for one. And
Yeah.
this
You have to
group
be a
I
little
got,
off. You have to be a little.
they're a little off the grid. And when you put them in a bunch,
Well,
it's fun.
You have to be a little off the grid yourself because of your extracurricular job. From Thanksgiving to New Year's is very interesting. You want to tell people what that is?
I'm the fellow that kind of stuffs your stockings on Christmas Eve.
I tell you, we go down there and you're going to be meeting my grandchildren. That is one of the things that you will be meeting because
Well, I will look totally different by then.
Oh, I know. I saw the pictures that you shared, your modeling pictures, and they are excellent. And you guys, he is the full Santa, believe me. And you said you're the grand marshal of the parade also?
No, I'm the Santa for the grand Christmas parade.
Okay.
And then I do the zoo, and I work with 3 or 4 photographers, and we'll be doing a music video in the fall.
Oh, what kind of music video? Jingle Bells?
No, it's not quite Jingle Bells.
Is it going to be rated G?
No.
No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Well,
there's a young man named Austin Foreman has a Christmas song out called "You Ain't Getting for Christmas."
Okay.
We're going to reshoot that video.
Well, some people don't deserve anything for Christmas.
Nope. And let's talk about mediums a minute before we go away.
Please.
How many people call you and say, I'm a medium and I want to investigate and all this stuff?
All the time.
I get that all the time. People, I've just discovered I'm a medium and I want to be on your team and see who comes to me. And I have to go through and explain to them that you don't just discover you're a medium, like wake up one morning and go, let me look at my shirt. I'm a medium.
Yeah.
You have gifts your entire life, and from a child what they are, and what your powers and stuff can do, and they get stronger as you grow. And so I try to tell them, you just at a stretch, you're probably a sensitive or maybe even an empath, but if you're a medium, you'd know it. You'd know what's going to happen ahead of time. You'd know different medium, different things, and
that's what you just said. They would know in advance they would know what you were going to say.
Yeah. And they get upset. And I try to, I'm not downing you. I'm just educating you that not something you wake up one morning and go, hey, I'm a medium.
I tell people all the time, I'm not a medium, I'm a large. I'm now a medium, but that's a whole different thing. And yeah, I do see and speak to spirits and stuff like that, but I don't make a living out of it, so I don't consider myself a medium. And I don't want people to look at me and say, Denise is a medium. Denise is Denise, and if I get something, I'm going to tell you, and if I don't, I'm just not going to say anything. I don't want to be judged for what I didn't see along with what I did see. Just because I didn't see anything or didn't share it with you doesn't mean I didn't see it too. Or didn't hear it. Some things aren't meant for me. I tell people all the time, it's not always up to me to tell you what I'm seeing.
Yep.
And sometimes the things that I'm seeing aren't meant for me to tell you about. But I will say one thing. If I do get a message that's for you, period, for whoever it is, once I tell you that, it's not mine anymore and I forget it.
Yep.
Because it's not my message.
You don't want to carry it.
Nope. Hey there, Dave. And so.
I know I get overloaded sometimes.
Oh, you do? And how do you shut it off?
I come into this room that I'm in, which is actually an English pub built into my house, and come in and have a drink and relax, turn all the lights out and meditate. And just pull all of that extra stuff out.
Do you keep track of the stuff that comes to you? Do you make notes or anything like that?
No, I'd have volumes.
Oh, yeah. I made notes tonight only because you were saying so many things that I want to remember later. Because, like I said, you're sharing information with me that may come in handy in 6 months to a year. I don't know, but I want to make sure that I'm not going to miss something that you tell me that I'm going to want to know. And I don't want to get on the phone and call you and say, oh, remember when we talked? What did you say?
Well, I'd like you to meet Sabrina.
Sabrina?
Yeah. Bring her on one day.
Well, you know what? Like I said, when we're heading down that way, I will definitely let you know. Of the places that you have down there that are haunted, that we've talked about a bunch of them. Which one is there? Any of those places down there that you'd never go again?
No.
Is there any place down there that somebody said was haunted and you found out it wasn't?
Oh, several. Several. But generally I can find a ghost anywhere because
they're everywhere.
It's like I tell people, you got a brand new house, you don't know what was there before. Ghosts are transits. I proved to the neighbors one night, I live on a dead end road. This road's been here since the 40s, probably. We sat out by the edge of the road in the chair with an SLS camera, drinking a beer, and watched a couple people walk by.
When was Pensacola founded? Do you know?
1559.
So how does that rank in the oldest cities in America?
We were the oldest city. And what happened is about 80 years later, they got wiped out by a hurricane and they went back to Spain. And then they settled St. Augustine.
Okay.
So St. Augustine is the oldest continuous city.
Okay. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
But we've even got places like, I got a friend of mine has a house built on top of a fort built by the French when they attacked the British. It was an earthen fort. And he bought a house that's built on top of it.
I can't. So when you said that about it being old and the people went back to Spain and now you're talking about French, what is the native food of that part of Florida?
The native food here is the same thing as the whole South.
Okay.
Southern cooking.
Okay.
You might get a little New Orleans flair in some of it, but Pensacola has got, well, it being a military town, there are so many different people have come into the city and guys have married women. It's like you go down the road to Fort Walton Beach and there's more Thai restaurants down there than you shake a stick at. And we don't even have a good Thai restaurant.
Yeah, I wouldn't be eating Thai.
But, I love it.
But yeah, short story, we went to Destin one year and I was going to college and I didn't have a laptop. We didn't have internet in the rental house that we were in. We didn't have all that stuff back then all the time. And so I did all my schoolwork at work. So we go home or we go go out there. I take the car. They all go to the beach. I go to the central office there in Fort Walton. That was Sprint's central office.
Mm-hmm.
And I did homework all day in the Sprint central office. So needless to say, I know a little bit about Fort Walton from the people that I used to work with there, but it's not, I mean, one of my friends used to live on Oskaloosa Beach. He was at Eglin. He was there. He was a pharmacy tech, and he said that they would live out there on the island in the wintertime in the off season because you could rent the houses cheap.
Yep.
When he first moved there, he is from Florida, but St. Augustine area. He went swimming near the brackish water. And you know what happens near the brackish water is where they dump all the chum.
Yep.
He was busy swimming in there when they were dumping chum, and he didn't understand why he kept seeing sharks. This back in the 50s.
Oh.
Every time
We're pinging.
Denise, you're froze up.
It's all right. I thought it was me.
Nope.
I'm
It's
old.
on her end.
my wife.
Are you back? Nope. You're froze again.
So,
Thump your computer.
But anyway, we do have
Did
a
I come
question
back?
down here.
Yeah.
You're still froze.
Yes, Carl.
But we have a question here from Pastor Gary Whitmer.
Yeah.
He's my co-founder on my paranormal team. He goes, "What kind do you use any equipment? What kind of equipment do you use on your investigations?"
We've got a wide range of equipment. God, I use something you can't hardly find anymore is a Ghost Meter Pro. We love that piece of equipment. I've used it for 20 years now. And it's my grab it when you go into the building thing. We use a lot of K2 meters, digital recorder. I've got everything from what do they call it? A FLIR camera to the SLS camera. We use a what do they call it? A data box, a data logger.
Right.
We use that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a good thing to use because you can keep track and look at it later and go back and say, okay, this is rerunning the same thing at the time.
I tell you, the oddest thing I ever seen with the data loggers, we were sitting around a table with a marble on the table and a flashlight, and we were trying to get a little boy, send him enough energy to move something on the table.
Right.
Telling him to move the marble. So there were 4 of us sitting there, and 3 of us were holding hands, and we were channeling energy to the middle of that table.
Right.
Well, the flashlight flies off the table. The marble doesn't go anywhere. But when we finally break, the guy at the end of the table watching the data logger goes, "I don't know about that marble," he says, "but y'all raised the temperature of the room 4 degrees.
Wow. That's interesting. Now,
So
do you guys,
energy, and that's one thing I try to teach people is how to channel your energies.
that'd be a good subject to learn. It really would. Now, do you guys use any dowsing rods or anything?
Yes, we've got we use dowsing rods. I like the light up ones that are on the little bearings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot of fun, and we use REM pods, and pretty well between the team we've got the whole assortment of equipment. And what's good is different people own different pieces of equipment.
Right. What kind of cameras do you own?
Just regular cheap video cameras that have night sensitive. Tina is down in South Florida. She investigates with us quite a bit. She's got the whole 4-channel camera set up, and we've used that a few times. And one of the most fun things we've got that ghosts love to play with is cat balls. Y'all ever play with those?
My cats like to play with those.
I've used them a couple of times.
The ones you push the button and set them there. They're like $3 for $5 at Publix or something.
Yeah.
The grocery store. And we had some in an abandoned hospital we were at. We had the camera set up and all, and 2 of the girls were down in the operating room, and these cat balls were lined up down the hallway. And as they came out of the operating room and turned to walk down the hall, this cat ball lights up, bounces off the wall into the middle of the floor and stops, and then makes a beeline at these girls. And that was the funniest thing you ever seen, them trying to get the hell away from a cat ball speeding at them.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
But the colors and all on them, if you put those out, if there's something in the room, especially if it's a young spirit, they're going to reach out and touch those.
Right. So your internet running good now, Denise?
I hope so. It's just the thunder or the lightning was causing a lot of problems. So
why don't you just use all that lightning it all up tonight so we don't get it tomorrow?
What you guys are getting is going to be even worse than what we're getting.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have a Torcon of 3. So welcome, Bart. I'm glad to see that you're here. And April, Mercury in retrograde is the answer to your question. So we got a lot of people that have come and gone from the chat. So I'm grateful to you guys. And I am so sorry, guys, that I'm having internet issues tonight. Thank goodness for Carl being able to step in and keep it from being, keep Rob talking, because Rob's got a lot of things to share. And between the tag teaming, we're going to get this done. So thank you for answering Gary's question. I appreciate that. Your favorite piece of equipment that I know I probably didn't hear it. What is the piece of equipment that you can't investigate without?
Ghost Meter Pro.
Okay.
It's the go-to one we use. You know, some people call it the yes/no box. And we found that is the quickest way to get their attention, and they'll answer the yes/no questions with it. And you can find ghost meters still out there, but they're crap. And I've contacted the manufacturer. They don't have any intentions on making them again.
Oh, well, it is what it is. And,
he said we moved on to other things.
Well,
I was hoping somebody would figure it out.
Well, you know what it is? There's only so much money involved that you can make in the paranormal.
I know. And
the thing is 99% of all paranormal investigators don't have any money.
No, and half the equipment out there on eBay is just some Chinese knockoff stuff that's already made. You can get 15 different flavors of a K2 meter. And I'd say probably half of them are useless.
Probably. And, in here we've got Bart Taller. He's in here. He had actually took apart some of the paranormal equipment and discovered microphones and stuff that shouldn't have been microphones in.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, and you're putting on, your heart and soul into it and saying this place is haunted, and you keep hearing this place is haunted, you're going to go, oh my God, it's haunted. And like, no, there's a microphone hidden in that darn thing that keeps catching you every time you say that. So Susan asks, Rob, can you tell us if you've had any UFO experiences while in the Air Force? And if you did, what?
No, the only UFO experiences I had in the Air Force are ones that we created. It's a joke.
Well, I have one of my cousins is an astronaut, and he works down at Johnson Space Center. So he used to work over at Cape Canaveral, and now he's at Johnson. So, and he says his exact words are, "There are no unidentified flying objects because we know what they are."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really interesting to say that, to hear that come from him. What about Bigfoot? Have you guys ever witnessed any Bigfoot type stuff either?
No, I have people ask me all the time, when you're ghost hunting, do you look for Bigfoot? I said, just under your bed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is Bigfoot at the beach? I mean,
oh yeah.
I know there's whales at the beach, but that's a whole different thing. and see, when I'm there, you're going to know it's me because I'm this white all the time.
Look like Casper at the beach.
Yes, I am Casper at the beach. I wear jeans all the time, so my legs are white. The only thing you're going to see is the dark head.
Well, the dark hair.
Yeah, the dark hair.
Greenpeace will be trying to drag you back in the water.
Yes, they will be. They're going to be saying, "Look at that! It's a baby seal. Get back in there." So, but yeah. Now, what beach is your favorite beach?
I like to go out to Fort McRae because the general public can't get there, for one. It's a 7-mile hike down the peninsula, or you go by boat.
Okay.
And there are sections of that area kind of behind it that are kind of unknown beaches to the public. So it's nice.
So is it, okay, again, I grew up in Baltimore. We had a place called Aberdeen Proving Ground.
Mm-hmm.
There are some places that you can't even get to by boat legally.
Mm-hmm.
So is that Fort McRae kind of like that?
No, you can get to Fort McRae. It's part of a national park, but there's areas behind Fort McRae that you can't get into with a motorboat. You got to go into with electric motors and this and that. And they got some beautiful beaches in there.
And where is Fort McRae at? Is that in Florida as well?
Yeah. Where Pensacola is at, where the base is at, the pass that goes to the Gulf.
Okay.
Fort Pickens sits on one side of the pass. Fort McRae sits on the other side of the pass.
Oh, so it's kind of like Mobile Bay having a fort here and a fort here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Except these two forts are only half-mile apart.
Well, if they're guarding the bay, it's kind of like the toll booth. You got to go past one of them to get in there. So,
well, Fort Pickens is gorgeous. It's still, you can still investigate there, and it's nice. You still go through most of it, but Fort McRae is falling down. There's not much left of it. Our winds are predominantly from the southeast.
mm-hmm.
So over the years, it's elongated Santa Rosa Island, and it's took away from Perdido Point, Perdido Key.
Yeah. We've been, we looked at some places on Santa Rosa Island that we were wanting to look at. And then I said, I don't want to be on an island. Again, I don't want to be the place that has to evacuate.
You don't want to be in Gulf Breeze either.
No, we already figured that out.
The traffic towards Gulf Breeze, Navarre, twice a day, you're going to sit on that bridge and wait.
Yep. That was the other question. The bridge that got messed up during Hurricane Sally, is that bridge back open?
Yes. In fact, it's supposed to be complete later this spring.
Okay, so it's open, but it's not all the way done.
Oh, yeah. It's 4 lanes open now, but it's going to be an 8-lane bridge dumping into a 4-lane highway. So you're just going to have a mess on each end.
So they're making it into a worse bottleneck than it was before.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Twice the money to spend.
What is your favorite restaurant out there?
There's several. The Fin and Fork downtown is nice. They do excellent food. The Paradise Grill out on Perdido Key is really nice. We go
I've
to
heard
it.
about that place. A friend of mine said, she goes, that's where Kat said she wanted to take us next time we came down.
We go there by boat.
Mm.
You can go to the Oyster Bar by boat. There's 2 of those in town. You can take your boat right up and dock. It's nice.
There was a seafood restaurant next to the Best Western that we stayed at there, where you turn to go to Navarre Beach.
Yeah.
The actual beach itself. We stayed there, and this restaurant was right next door, and they had wonderful crab cakes.
I don't know. Those places change. These restaurants go and come every year. There's 2 or 3 disappear and 2 or 3 come back. So
I know that there's this one restaurant that's only open between Labor Day or Memorial Day and Labor Day. My daughter wanted to go there, and I think it's only open Friday, Saturday, Sundays as well. Talk about, it's only open like 40 hours.
She's probably talking about Chet Seafood.
I think so.
I think they're out of business.
Well, they were open when we were there. We just didn't get to go. But were they closing it permanently? Yeah,
they retired.
I thought their kids said that something about wanting to keep it.
Well, they didn't.
Oh, darn.
I tell you, the best kept secret around here is a place called Pirates Cove. It's over in Alberta, outside Alberta, Alabama.
Oh, that was one of the places we didn't look at houses in.
Oh. It's nice over there. I like Alberta. Little quiet country town. But Pirates Cove is a little different. It's been there 55 years, I think. And it's just a little dive bar, greasy burgers, pizza. It's all sits on poles, surrounded by water on 3 sides. And hurricane wipes it out. Takes them about 3 months. And they're back in business.
Okay, well, I'll have to put that on my list, because one of the places we looked at was I only looked at on the map, okay, and online. Starts with an L. It's right where you come across from the north part of Perdido Key, and forgot what it is. Lillian,
yeah.
Is that a nice area?
It is. It's a little different in Alabama. Their property tax is cheaper for land, but you have to pay personal property tax on all your vehicles and state income tax.
Right. Mm-hmm. But I get a deal there being 65 where I don't in Florida.
Yeah, you just get the difference here. You get so much off of your homestead exemption.
Yeah, my daughter was asking me about that, and I told her, I said, I don't know Florida taxes. And
but as many vehicles and toys that I own, they would eat me alive in personal property tax each year.
Do you know, Tennessee is great because it's $25 a car to register to keep your car, no matter how many cars you got, $25.
That's cool.
And so your property tax on houses ain't bad either. So needless to say, I've done my homework on that kind of stuff. But I have family in Tennessee, so I pay attention. But I'm gonna tell you, you are a wealth of knowledge on stuff. You ought to give a tour about, tell people about all the crap Florida has to offer up there in the Panhandle. Because it sounds like it's someplace that you would never live anywhere but there.
No, I wouldn't want to live nowhere else. It's so diverse up here. And then
up there?
Yeah, and in Florida itself, there's 176 state parks. We've been to close to half of them. And it's just gorgeous. There's a fella on Facebook called EJ Rector. you need to start following him. He's a photographer. He's retired military, travels around on a motorcycle with a dog, and he takes pictures of real Florida.
Well, I tell you, all the parts I've seen, I like. Crestview was a little questionable,
No,
but you know what I mean. I've liked every part that I've seen. The people in Crestview were nice. I just didn't like the area.
no.
Um, I and I'll tell you, 30A, if you get a chance to go, it's great. It's beautiful. But I can see that being a bottleneck trying to get out of there on a weekend. And
Have
it's
you looked at the
expensive.
house prices down on 38?
I ain't living there. But I will tell you, it is so bright that you have to wear sunglasses because the
we
beach is
stopped.
that white.
We stopped down there last, I guess, about 3 or 4 years ago because the top state park, our top state park in the nation was top sale.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down there and camped. And we went on down and we went to the town where they filmed the Truman movie. And we were looking at a flat above a shop was listed at like 2.9, and that was 10 years ago.
Mm. Like I said, it was beautiful down there, and it's a great place to visit, but not someplace I'd want to live.
No.
But like I said, if you go down there, wear sunglasses. Ron couldn't see anything but the reflection of the sun off the sand. My glasses are automatic sunglasses, so I got it made.
Do you know why our sand is white?
No, why?
The Appalachian Mountains are made out of granite.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all those rivers coming through the mountains and stuff break down that granite. And if you notice when you drive from here to, say, Tallahassee, you get into some real hills going to Tallahassee. Say between Defuniak Springs and Tallahassee, gets real hilly. You're actually crossing the very tail end of the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
If you look on a map,
Yeah.
that's where it comes on down.
Yeah.
And then the Apalachicola River comes out of those mountains, carries that sand, and dumps it in Apalachicola Bay. And our winds are predominantly southeast.
Right.
So it takes that sand, and from Apalachicola to Pensacola is the whitest sand in the world.
Right. And I know that the reason why from New Orleans to, Mississippi, that it's all muddy and stuff is from the Mississippi, and the winds are the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
And I knew that because of the Delta and stuff. And so, and then Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, theirs is pretty much your regular gray sand.
Yep.
So, and it burns your damn feet when you walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all I know is that the water is clear in Pensacola, and it gets clear the further east that you go.
Well, the fishing is so outstanding here.
What is what season of fish is it right now?
You catch everything but a snapper.
Okay. And what's your favorite? Snappers?
I like Mingo snapper better than red snapper.
What
It's just it's a variety of snapper. But the groupers are great. Redfish are good. I ain't found many fish I won't eat except a shark.
I like shark.
You wouldn't eat shark if you knew what we know about them.
I know what they eat. I shouldn't eat them. But I've also
Do you know how a shark urinates? Through its skin.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yes.
Maybe that's how it tenderizes itself.
Yeah.
And
it's like eating a freaking sponge. I mean, there's too much good stuff to eat besides shark.
There is. I mean, where's the best place to catch crab?
Anywhere. You can take a crab net, a dip net, and walk anywhere up and down the intercoastal waterway, and just scoop up crabs right and left.
What's the law? what's the legal size? What, 5 inches?
Something like that.
And throw back the females?
Yep. You can go over to Big Lagoons Park. They got a little marsh bayou, and it goes up in there, and we've pulled dozens of them out of there just walking around.
Because that's one of the few things. Do you know, in my adult life, I've never cooked crab. Grew up eating it, tearing it apart. I can clean a crab in no time at all. I'll spend all day eating them too, but I can do all that. But I have not been able to cook live crab because I've lived out here in Kansas Kansas and Missouri, my whole married life.
I'm not a big crab eater. There's not enough meat on that thing for me.
That's what he says. It's too much work and not enough payback.
You work there you sit there for an hour, and you've got a pile in front of you, and you're hungry.
But again, for me, it's the memory. It's growing up and doing that. My family would not let us eat crabs if we couldn't clean them ourselves, because otherwise they'd be, doing this the whole time, feeding the kid. And so they said, well, until you can clean your own, you can't do it. So my parents taught us how to clean crab by the time we were 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get all the crab you want around here.
Well, and a lot of people go, well, and are there horseshoe crabs out there?
No.
Because I know that, like, we talked about that, though, before. But I know that down around the peninsula of Florida, there is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not up there, which is good because they're just bottom feeders.
Yeah, because see, all you'd have to do, tie a rope around yourself, walk in front of my boat, scoop them up, throw them right in the boat.
I would.
That's the way we do it.
And like I said, and I know the difference between a male and a female, so I'm way ahead of a lot of people.
Or you go down to the Vietnamese shop over here on Cervantes and buy crab from them live.
Well, I knew that there was a place I could buy them live over in Gulf Shores because, I'd been up and down the road enough times where I found all the seafood shops. But,
yeah, that Vietnamese shop's getting, not Vietnamese, or Chinese. Bin Dong is what it's called. And Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays, they got live crabs.
I'll have to check that out. I'll teach my grandchildren how to clean crab. So, but there's not seafood out there that I don't like, except for I don't like raw seafood. Any raw seafood.
No.
I don't know if I like oysters. I assume that I probably like them fried.
Oysters are great.
So, but like I said, I won't eat them raw. So, but it is, you've got me thinking more and more about getting down there sooner rather than later. And the storm that we're having right now is making me think of that too. But again, you guys are getting yours tomorrow.
Well, think about it. Sunday, we'll be out 10 miles out, fishing the reefs.
That's what I want to do.
That's what he wants to do.
I'm going with a friend Sunday. Me and my son are. He's got a bigger boat.
Well,
Bigger boat.
Well, we all know what that means. But you're not going to be catching any sharks.
No. We take my boat and go about 4 miles out. We'll go down the coast, and then there's a row of reefs that run about 3 miles straight out, just one after another. And you're bound to catch something there.
Well, if nothing else, you'll at least catch a sunburn.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't wait to see pictures of it or hear about it, because it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't been fishing in, years. In fact, I don't think that I've baited a hook in the whole time we've been married.
Maybe I hadn't sold my other boat by the time you get here.
So it'll be interesting to go fishing again. I used to fish with my grandfather all the time off of the cabin cruiser in the Chesapeake Bay, but I always seem to catch a bait.
What's nice here is we got the bays, we got the rivers.
Yeah. Had everything.
You know, we looked at getting a bigger boat, but if I get a bigger boat, I can't fish both.
Mm-hmm.
And that little boat of mine go anywhere.
Do you guys have any bear sightings in your area?
There are bears over towards Gulf Breeze
Really?
in Santa Rosa County.
That far
Breeze?
south?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trash bandits.
Oh.
Well, we figured that, but because I know you guys have a website that talks about where the bears and the cougars and of course the turtles, all that's on there. Because I know I was looking, when I was looking at Crestview, they had quite a few bear sightings up that way.
Oh,
and
yeah.
by Milton, there was a bunch of cat sightings.
A lot of cats on the Eglin Reservation.
Mm. What
People
about?
don't realize that Eglin is the size of the state of Delaware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do. I would recognize that size. I grew up in New Jersey too.
You didn't care for egg.
Yeah, and you said something about that you didn't care for Eglin, right?
I didn't care to be based there when I was based there.
Okay, so and
But it was all politics. That's all it was. It's a political base.
Huh.
yeah, he was supposed to. Well, Ron was supposed to go there. Well, not supposed to. He was offered to go there, but he was going to have to he was going to have to extend because it was a 13-month enlistment or a 13-month stay.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had went there, he never would have met me. So it's funny how things turned out. We'll be together 40 years this year.
Congratulations.
So we were meant to be, I guess. But it's amazing when you see that stuff. But over in Milton, we talked about this on the phone. I had seen online that there was a haunted theater over there.
Yes, the Imogene Theater.
And why is that haunted?
They say that, if I've got the story straight, that the girl it was named after or something died in the theater, and she sits up in the stands. I haven't been inside of it. We tried to get in there numerous times. I spent a good 2 weeks calling and calling and calling, and their historical society plays. Well, I don't know who's in charge of that. Well, I don't know who's in charge of that. Well, it's the historical society's in charge of it. Who runs it? Well, I don't have his number handy. Crap like that. And then I find out that, we've leased it to a church. And then the next thing I hear is one of our mediums is holding public tours of it for $50 a pop. So
That's expensive.
I'm not going to get into how I feel
we'll
about the way she does.
Yeah.
It's called Ghost Tour for Hire or something.
Is there any other places up that way that are haunted up near Milton?
No, I tried to get in the railway station,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing. They don't want to know.
Okay, so that's their historical society is closed-minded.
Oh, yes, very. Now, there's the Coon Hill Cemetery is up there near Jay. That is one of the most haunted cemeteries, they say. A lot of people on my team been up there and had some very unique experiences, being shoved off a wall and different things. I haven't been because I am pretty jacked up arthritically.
Yeah.
And it's about a mile walk from the gate to the cemetery. They moved the gate about a mile out to discourage people from visiting.
Mm. That's not good for people who have family buried there.
Nope. But I guess there's somebody that they could call that would meet them with a key.
Huh. Autumn mentions Arcadia Mill.
I've been there. I didn't find anything. The Historical Society makes this big deal of Arcadia Mill. We went and walked it. There's nothing there. I mean, they built a boardwalk out into the swamp. The mill is long gone. There's just no remains of nothing except some drawings of what it would have looked like back then. And I didn't have nothing lit up. I didn't feel anything or any of that.
So why? Okay. So they're hoping to have something
No,
there?
It's something to spend money on. I think they got their little informative center, and then they do little kid things that, they'll take kids on nature walks and do a little summer camp program and all of that up there. But there's just nothing there.
I don't know why you'd buy tickets to something.
I know.
Friday and Saturday only from 10 to 4. So.
To walk out in the swamp.
Yeah, $6.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. So.
Well, one thing we enjoy here is the Historical Society. You can go down and join it. Mm-hmm. Friends of the Historical Society. I think we pay $75 a year for a family pass, and we can go into all of the old historical buildings. We can go into all the museums, the children's museums, anything that they own, as many times you want each year.
Yeah, that's what it says. It says on here, if you get in free if you're part of the not historical society, if you're a member. So basically you're suggesting that if we decide we want to do this kind of stuff, to become a member.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. So, and a lot of times that stuff's a write-off.
Yes, it is. It is a write-off.
It's a charity. So there you go. Join your local historical societies.
And it's all down around Seville Square, which is the heart of Pensacola.
Well, that's funny because in New Orleans, a lot of their stuff is, they've got a Seville Square in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what they consider their melting pot area.
Yeah.
Is that basically the same downtown Pensacola?
Yeah. The square is unique because the oldest buildings in town right around that area. One of the first churches built in Pensacola is there. And was it the King of Spain gave him a bunch of Seville orange trees and put there. It's just a beautiful area. Christ Church is just gorgeous. They put some nightlife in down there. There's a brewery down there amongst them old buildings. A really nice little restaurant.
Do you know the guy who wrote the Haunted Pensacola book?
The Haunted Pensacola what?
The book. There's a book, Haunted Pensacola.
Yeah, we got it.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get it before we come down there, and then you can tell us, yay, yay, yay. No.
I got a copy of it somewhere.
Alan Brown. So, what is the most amazing story that you have about the lighthouse? Your personal story, anyway.
We had a preacher one night. I always asked before the tour was started, do we have any non-believers? I would, give them the spiel, keep your hands to yourself and no horseplay and all of this. This is very serious tonight. It's not a tour. We're going to show you some things tonight that you have never experienced before. And I said, do we have any non-believers? And this preacher raised his hand and told me, he said, well, I'm Reverend so-and-so. I'm a man of God, and there's no such thing as ghosts. And I told him, I said, well, let me explain something to you. I said, I'm ordained too. And I said, there are spirits. I said, there's spirits in the Bible. I said, what is the Holy Ghost?
All over the Bible.
Mhm.
Well, that's different. I said, like, does he wear a different color sheet? You know, what's the difference? And he could not explain it. And I said, so you're just repeating something that they told you when you went to theology school. If you went to theology school. So we go on with the tour, and he's kind of poo-pooing everything. And we get upstairs, and my daughter was on the team, and the little girl and boy that reside there really like my daughter. I mean, we'd have people beg, can you do something? Can you move this? Can you move that? Would you like to play with this? And she just does nothing. And then my daughter, she came running up the stairs. Everybody's in a circle sitting. And my daughter slides into this circle and she goes, Lizzie, spin me that water bottle. And that water bottle spun around 4 or 5 times. And I looked up at that preacher and he was down them stairs. And then he's trying to get out the gate by the time I got there. And I said, what are you running from? That's demonic. I said, a little 5-year-old girl is demonic? I said, I told you I was going to show you things that you have never seen before. I said, you're running from something that is not capable of hurting you. I said, you're a full-grown man. You're a man of God. And then you're going to run from a little 5-year-old spirit. And he goes, well, I'm out of here. I said, you ought to sit on the porch. No, I'm out of here. I said, you rode the bus. You're not going nowhere till we all leave. And at the end of it, I came out and sat down with him and said, so what are you thinking now? And he busted out laughing. He goes, I just scared the crap out of me. He said, I have never seen anything. He goes, does this happen all the time? I said, yes, it does. I said, they close the doors for us. I said, they can make it colder in the room. I said, they can manipulate things. And I said, you just got to realize that there are other things out there besides what you think are. I said, so you're one person who have stood there and gave your beliefs to hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know you were wrong. I said, so go home tonight and think about that.
Did he ever come back?
No. But I guarantee I made a distinct impression on him.
How long did you do tours down there?
12 years.
We did the Sally House for 7.
We had people like that show up at a lot of our tours, and you just wonder, why are they even there?
Yeah, you wonder why they would even buy a ticket if they
bother?
don't believe or they think it's demonic. Why
They
would
think
you-
it's a joke, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going on this ghost hunt at the lighthouse. You want to go with me? You want to go with me? And there's a lot of groups that there's times I've had to just take people and say, get out right now and go sit on the porch until we get ready to leave, because I'm not going to put up with your foolishness.
Have you had people show up drunk on your tours?
Yeah, but see, we had to pick them up on a bus. So if they show up and I can smell it all over them, I'm sorry, you're not going.
We did this. It is called the Haunted Hop.
Yeah.
And it was, you would take them on part of the tour, then take them, get them food, and whatever they got extra was up to them, but their meal was covered.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of them came out of that meal drunk and then expected to be able to investigate 2 locations and finish the tour.
Yeah.
And of course, by the time I knew they were drunk, it was too late and we couldn't turn them or, send them back, because if we did, it was only half a mile for them to walk, but they could have gotten hit by a train because trains went by all the time. So it's like, I was better off keeping them than letting them go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have that to deal with. What is your favorite part of doing tours?
I enjoy the people. I enjoy education. I enjoy teaching people about the paranormal. And even like right now, we do a lot of house cleansings. And I've gotten to where people that I don't even know will call me. I got your number from so-and-so, and they heard about you, and I'm having a problem at my house. Give you, for instance, the last one we did. They had just moved into this house. They'd been there 3 weeks. It was a mixed family. Nobody sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
There's a man in the kids' room, scaring them, closing doors, turning lights, all, the whole gambit. And the kids are in the parents' room, and nobody slept. And it was like, I can't stand this. I can't handle this anymore. We're going to pack and go to a motel and all of this. And I said, where do you live? And she told me, and I said, give me 20 minutes and I'll be there. So I went over there. I said, they got 5 kids. I said, can you take the kids and go somewhere else? She says, yeah, I'll take them to my sisters or his sisters or something, just a couple doors down. So they did it, and they had these TV cameras set up to watch the kids all through the house. Mm-hmm. So she goes over there and watches what's going on from the sister's house. Never met the husband. We shake hands, we sit down, he tells me what's going on. Put a couple meters on table, and meter lit right up. And I said, asking questions with the Ghost Meter Pro, and I said, can you tell me your name? And through the recorder, we hear his name. Or no, we were using the spirit box. He told us his name. And I said, well, it's really nice to meet you. I said, why are you here? And he said, he lives there. Mm. And I said, well, I need to explain something to you. You're dead. Mm-hmm. And I said, your wife has sold this place, and this young couple's moved in here with these kids, and you can't keep scaring the crap out of this family. And he says, okay, loud enough that we just heard it with naked ears. Mm. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to go through the house. I'm going to sage this house. I'm going to bless this house. And I'm going to forbid you to come back in here and bother this family, because they're a great family. I said, surely you've got other relatives who have passed that you could go visit or go be with. Went through the house, saged the house, purifies everything, prayed over the house, blessed the house with holy water. I get back to the living room, and you hear this. Michael's sitting there. I didn't hear it, but the homeowner is sitting there, and he goes, I heard him say bye, and he closed the back door. And they hadn't had a problem since.
Perfect. Do you enjoy the cleansing houses?
I do. It educates people, and it takes care of problems, on people, when you get an annoying little ghost, just an annoying little shit, it's just bugging a family, and you can't get rid of them. You don't understand. You don't have the knowledge to understand what's going on in the house. Mm-hmm. You may think the boogeyman's coming, like one lady said, I could just picture, this slashing out of the walls and all.
Yeah. And
I said, she says, you come in and you talk to them like you've known them their whole life, and they go away. I said, they're people. And most of the time they're wanting to communicate. They're letting you know they're there. I have run into some that are pain in the ass. We had to try different
They're just
things.
like people.
I hadn't had one yet. I don't think that we couldn't pack his bags and move him on.
How often do you think that there's a demon involved? Or is it just people?
No, I've only run into 2 demons.
And were they in the United States or were they abroad?
Here. Yep. Okay. One was at the lighthouse. And
was it something that somebody else brought there?
I think somebody must have brought it in.
Okay.
And my girls were quick that night. I mean, it didn't take us 2 or 3 minutes, and we had that sucker gone.
Well, that's really good. You know what? We got about 4 minutes left. And I would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. And Rob, thank you so much for being such a gracious guest. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for the internet issues that I was having during the storm. And I know you guys can probably still hear the thunder behind me. It's rolling thunder now.
Yeah, worse.
So, and it's getting worse. But
batten down.
It is what it is. Hey, yeah. Our houses out here, we're used to tornadoes. So, and we got a new roof, so we're good.
Do you have a yellow brick road?
Down Liberal, Kansas.
Yeah.
Liberal, Kansas. And no, it's not because it's a liberal city. That's Lawrence. It's a different problem. But yeah, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you or find Panhandle Paranormal of Pensacola?
We're on Facebook.
So check it out, and you get to Pensacola, and you need to have some information. Go to their site, and it'll give you some really good information. And
if you got questions, just feel free to reach out.
And maybe someday you can call me and ask me, and I can tell you.
Yes.
I can't wait. So, but I'd like to let everyone know that next Tuesday or next Monday, there will probably not be a Paranormal Pride because I have surgery on Monday. And the last time I had this surgery, my throat was really sore, so I don't want to do that again. And there is not going to be a Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal tomorrow night because, well, we're all trying to catch up from being off of work and off the shows and everything else. And Carl's got to work tomorrow. He's trying to do an 18-hour day. More power to him. More power to him.
Well, good night, everyone.
So, but thank you all, and join us on the January 16th when my guest is Mary Barrett, Dr. Mary Barrett. She's going to be a wealth of information. She's also going to be seen at the Haunting at the Mill Paracon in Pickens, South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to talking to her again. It's been a while. So, but yep, you guys all have a great week. Happy New Year. And enjoy going back to work. And for Mike and Susan, enjoy retirement. So lucky dogs. Yep, lucky dogs. And good night, everyone. See you soon. Good night.
Good night.